I think you're full of dog doo-doo.
So what they were saying was that this, where the hook goes through to lift it up, and this one over here, that was getting in the way of the bend, that they weren't going to be able to bend that as far because those were there. The limitation for bending is not where you pick it up with the chain. It's with these bolts right here. There's a whole row of bolts that go right down here. Here's the first one, and they go all the way down. And that's the limitation. The material is going to hit those bolts first, stopping the angle before it hits this. So they aren't going to get the bending angle they're looking for. It's not going to be, they say it's supposed to be 135. They're not going to get 135. Those bolts are going to stop the material. And that's as far as they're going to get. I measured it. It's 112. So here are the roll of bolts. There's 8 of them. And they hold these individual pieces. This is 8-inch, next one 6-inch, next one 3, 2, and 1. It's for, when you're panning and breaking a, piece that's not over 8 inches, let's say, then you would use this one. If it was 6 inches, you would use this one. But the lifting hooks aren't the restricting factor as far as the bend. Now, if you come below these bolts, if you're in this area, you will get the 135. But if your material extends farther, you're only going to get 112. So if you're below, you got it. So here you see the roll of bolts here, and these are so you can, these are interchangeable depending on what you're working with. Say you're working a battery tray and it's only 8 inches wide, well, you can cut it down to that. They're made so that they bolt on and off, and they're about half an inch thick, and you could countersink these so they were flat. Then the lifting rings would be in the way if your material was going to extend up that far. But unless they run into that and that's what they want, they're probably not going to want to pay for the machining that it's going to take to get those bolts countersunk flat. But it can be done. So this is a 24-inch brake pan. You can do up to 24-inch panels with it, and you can do smaller panels with it. Not a bad piece, really. It can come in handy making all kinds of stuff. You want a corner, you want something bent on the edge. You can do a pretty fine little, like I'm talking 1/8, 3/16, 1/4 inch. Yeah. So, not a bad thing to have, really. So this is a bench model, or bench top mounting, and it's 24-inch. So there's a lot of things you could do that are a lot larger than battery trays. You could make a rocker panel. You just have to always be conscious of the fact that you're limited. So your rocker panel is going to have to be welded. If you do that, it's going to have to be smoothed out. But you can do it. if you might not have a shop. Maybe you just got a garage. Maybe you don't have any garage at all. You can do a lot of things. You can bend metal, like you can make the corrugated piece of a bed. Like, say, for instance, you were going to cut the bed to put in big fatter tires, and you were going to end up welding in fender wells. Well, you could do that. I mean, you can do big project and small project. The only thing is, on the bigger projects, floor panels and such, you're going to have this limiting factor. It actually measures at 24 inch, so every 2 feet you're going to have to be doing something in the way of mending it, welding it, blending it, whatever it's going to be. And they make them much larger, as you know, probably. But this is a 24 inch, and yeah, you can get by if this is all you can afford, or this is all the room you have. You can make it happen. It's just up to you. Whatever you're trying to make, it's there. You just have to figure out how to get there. Just a word about when you're changing your cutting torch over to the Rosebud. You're going to probably look it up on the internet. It's going to say 15 pounds of acetylene, 10 pounds of oxygen. You don't need anywhere near that unless you're bending railroad ties. Yeah, just go in at 6 on the acetylene and 10 on the oxygen. What was that? It was like 1/8. I was bending, so you don't need a whole lot. 15 is like, holy doodles. Yeah, like I say, if you're bending railway ties, go ahead. But if you're just doing stuff around the shop, you don't need any of that. Like I say, I had that at 6 acetylene, 10 oxygen. And if you get a tick, 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 or a tick, 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 tick on your regulator on the oxygen side, you got a leak either at the tip of the Rosebud or where the Rosebud attaches to the handle, to the torch. You got a leak, and it'll even surge. You'll see the flame as the ticks are going. You'll see the flame. It'll flare out. And if your tanks, your bottles are far away from you, and you can't hear that ticking, you'll be able to tell by the flame that's coming out of the Rosebud. It'll pulsate in accordance with those ticks, and you'll know right away you got a leak. Oh yeah, that's going to work out. I used to put a couple spot welds on it so it wouldn't move anymore because it kept hitting this every time I used it. It's the vice handle. Now with that stationary, moving the vise as a breeze and it doesn't hit that, I can go as fast as I need to. Yeah, I'll work out.